The New York Times, as part of a larger story on Disney parks worldwide, suggested that Shanghai could be opening in the next 2 weeks. And as I was writing this piece that we're filming right now, it was confirmed. At the Q2 shareholder meeting, Disney confirmed today, just a few hours ago, that Shanghai Disneyland will be opening on May 11th. That's just a week from now. Now, my initial reactions were, of course, this is very good news. A positive sign in a positive direction. I mean, there will actually be a Disney park open in a week. That's something that I didn't think was possible just a few days ago. I thought that was still far off in the future. But as somebody who has been following this situation very, very closely, the question that this now brings to mind, something that I really want to know, is how? How are they going to do this? What measures are Shanghai Disneyland taking in order to make this possible? All eyes are going to be on Shanghai for the next few weeks, and it's going to be interesting to watch as this develops. But one thing that we can do, one thing that we do know, we have some idea in advance of their opening next week what measures they might be taking. We've heard reports of them testing new theater seating guidelines, every other row in the grandstands kind of thing, and of course temperature checks at the gates and masks for the guests. Meanwhile, and perhaps more interesting, and I think that this is something that they confirmed in the Q2 shareholders call today, that this will be by appointment only, i.e., or in other words, reservations. This, of course, is done in order to control the number of people that are allowed into the parks. And by the way, this is also something that we heard reported yesterday for Six Flags. Their intent is to do the same thing in their parks here in the States. And again, this is completely logical, and it's the only way to do it. But it does raise a question, something that I have asked every time this conversation piece comes up, and that is, what about annual pass holders? Will this be the end of APs? You know, after all, the primary benefit of having an annual pass is to be able to go anytime you want, at least with a signature pass. And I know that saying that it's the end is kind of a severe response, but I can't think of any more logical outcome of this kind of thing, at least temporarily. If reservations are required in order to limit the number of guests, then that means there's going to be a lot of demand for that limited reservations. And the number that I'm thinking of is probably 25%, because that's the number the state of California was suggesting. Now, that's different for China, I know, but we could extrapolate that over to our parks when it does become our turn. But I digress. There's going to be a lot of demand for those reservations, which means that, you know, they're going to be selling out immediately as soon as it becomes available at 8 a.m. or whatever. When the bell strikes, they're going to be gone immediately. And that means, logically, that there will be days when an annual pass holder, a signature annual pass holder, won't be able to go to the park. That's a tough spot, because their contract says I can go whenever I want. Now, I realize that's sort of kind of a first world problem. Oh gosh, poor APs aren't going to get to go to Disneyland whenever they feel like it. I totally understand somebody's position in saying that, and I don't have a problem with them limiting my pass. I just feel like that's a situation that they need to address. But from Disney's perspective, the annual pass, they put a lot of eggs in that basket from their own, you know, forecasting financial perspective. They put a lot of eggs in that basket, that annual pass basket. So I'm curious what their plans are. I mean, I guess it's kind of a moot question, because if you're talking about limiting attendance to 25%, they're not going to have any difficulty filling whatever that limit is. So there's no maximizing, I guess, their return on this. I'm kind of winging it right now as I think about that. Stay tuned, I guess is all I'm saying. Stay tuned to see what they do about annual passes. Now, here's something else that's interesting about this, is that there was rumor, speculation, that Shanghai Disneyland was testing parades and fireworks. And of course, naturally, again, if you've been paying attention, you'll know that is contrary to the position that we have been hearing, that they were going to eliminate things like fireworks and parades because of the obvious crowd control issues. What could Shanghai possibly have in mind in order to address that? There's no theater, there's no grandstands that you can sit in to watch the fireworks or a parade, at least not that I'm aware of. There's no queue for parades or fireworks so that they can limit space there. So what is it that they're doing to manage that obvious crowd control problem? I guess we're going to have to file that under the I'll believe it when I see it cabinet, but we are going to find out in like a week. And finally, you've probably seen these images. These are the social distancing ground markings that we referenced earlier, and at first I assumed that they were like all the others that I've seen in stores the last few weeks, But this one made me curious because it doesn't say please stand here, it's please don't stand here. Are there any social engineers that can help me understand what their intent is there? The area looks like it would probably be a highly used walkway, otherwise they wouldn't have done something like that. So they basically eliminated the middle, no standing in the middle. Now, is this to promote two-way traffic perhaps? Or is the suggestion intended for the entire walkway, not just down the middle, but they put the stripe down the middle with those markings, but really it's meant for the whole path? Are they trying to inhibit loitering or standing around? And this is something that I've noticed in my, I don't know how many visits through over the years in the Disney parks, and that is whenever somebody, let's say you're walking down Main Street and somebody stops in the middle of Main Street. Now, first, that's annoying, don't do that. But second, what it does is it creates all kinds of changes in the traffic patterns of the people walking down the street. You stop in the middle of the street like that, and then that person behind you now has to suddenly stop and turn, or veer left or veer right, and that invariably cuts off somebody else who's also going in their very own straight and purposeful path. You've interrupted them, and now they have to react. And what you get is contact in those situations. You get contact. It's just like cars on a freeway or on any road for that matter. That's what I'm thinking when they put that stripe down the middle. Are they trying to encourage people to go in one direction, traffic going this way on the right-hand side, like a street? And I think that goes towards, the idea here basically is to keep people from stopping. You want constant movement. When you stop, that's just a problem. And those are the situations, the elements of this story that I'll be watching most closely are the ground markings, what they're doing with shows, and what they're doing with annual passes. Not to mention, of course, how much fun people are having and how exciting it is that we have the prospect of Disney parks. What this does, I don't know if you, for me, it's just it's been sinking in a little bit over the past couple hours. A park opening in Shanghai gets us that much closer to a park opening in Florida and a park opening in Disneyland, because it's going to encourage us. It's going to encourage them. It's going to give them feedback. It's going to give them an opportunity to say, this is working, this is not. And it could accelerate the confidence that Disney has in opening things worldwide, here in Disneyland or in Florida. So I'm hoping you guys are all with me on the excitement levels for this. I also hope that there's all kinds of data and science backing up their decisions, because I don't want anything to go wrong in this situation. But I feel like they must have, because this is not a decision that they would come to lightly, I don't believe. So with that, thanks for watching, everybody. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. And if you haven't already, take a spin on our virtual Disneyland tour or series. We're going to put a link in the description below. You can visit Disneyland virtually on our website. You can just take the video, enter the park, and then choose your own adventure, however you like. Also, you can follow us on Royal Dorks. That's our personal vlog channel where you can follow myself and Liz and our family here at home in our adventures. So we'd appreciate if you follow us there. And until next time, guys, respect.